Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Double Sleeved. I'm joined here by my co-host Ryan, and today we've got a special guest on our hands, the one and only Gary Baker, Level 2 judge from Australia. Gary, thank you so much for joining us for this video. How are you going today?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, guys. Depending on when you see this video, if you haven't checked out our other video with Gary, where we go into an in-depth discussion about the new set trailer, check that one out as well. It does go for a bit of a lengthy one, but it is definitely a good discussion. Always glad to obviously have you on the channel now, Gary, so we can kind of get your insights on things as well. Today, obviously, I want to speak about the Mythic Booster, right? We obviously all know what cards are in there. We've seen it, we've purchased it, we've got our playsets, so on and so forth. But a lot of people obviously complain about some of the reprints that come in these sets, right? It's not as straightforward or not as simple as why did you reprint this? Or why is this card in here? Oh, this doesn't make sense. It's been reprinted before. Or why do we need this card? It's not even relevant right now. So I want to dive deeper into this and see if we can kind of, I guess, discuss and if we've got any ideas of why these cards have obviously been put in here. The set comprises of 63 cards in total, so it's a very, very small set. 24 booster packs again, 8 cards in the box itself. From my unboxings, if you haven't checked those out, they are on the YouTube channel as well. In every box, you don't get a duplicate gold stamp, which is very, very interesting. 24 different gold stamps in a box. I might be wrong. People may have pulled a duplicate, but from my experience and my videos that we've put up, we haven't actually pulled a duplicate. So having 24 different gold stamps was pretty fun. And obviously there is a lot of great reprints in this set. But I want to dive into some of the cards that people were complaining about or making comments. And we're going to get this with every set anyway, or everything that has a reprint. Like, why are they doing this? But I want to kind of touch on some of these cards and see what your thoughts are on why they reprinted these ones. So the first three that I want to talk about are Android 18, Perfection's Prey, Full of Rage, and Impending Crisis Android 17. Now, we obviously know the biggest reason why they reprinted all the championship cards was because they were so scarce. We went into, obviously, COVID 2 years ago. We barely could go to events. We barely got any of these packs. We couldn't even. I don't think any of us could get any playsets unless you wanted to pay $30 to $50 per card. So I understand why some of these cards were put back in here to make it very, very easy for people to gain access to. But the point that I want to make, and obviously I've put these 3 cards here for a reason. We've got 3 Android cards out of the 63 cards that were printed in here. And obviously we've got, cards like Senzu Bean, Kaioken Goku from Draftbox, Koitsukai, so on and so forth. We all know that we needed those cards because they were so hard to find. Draft boxes were so scarce again, so expensive. They needed a reprint, but people will be asking why these 3 cards. And I want to hear both of your thoughts because I have a thought myself on why these cards got reprinted. Obviously, one of the Android 18s are a championship card, but why the other 2 cards to be chosen for this box? Ryan, I want you to give me your thoughts before we jump into Gary's, and then I'll give you my thought on kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen here.
Immediately, I think the Ultimate deck that's going to be coming out. I believe it's going to be revolving around Cell, or at least Androids in some portion. That's kind of my immediate thought, and I expect that we'll see a lot of these integrated into that Android deck, or at least some use. Yeah, that's kind of my main thought.
Gary, do you want to
I
share? Yeah.
I 100% agree. Like, I'm anticipating I believe it's not the March set, it's the one after. It's much later next year, but we've sort of seen how some of these sets tie into each other with things that are coming that we may not know about yet. Obviously these cards have very particular skills, but potentially with androids coming back, these cards may see a little bit more love and play.
And that's obviously the point that I wanted to kind of bring up, right? So for those who don't know, the May/June set, which is going to be set 8 of the Unison Warrior block series, is revolving around the androids again. And the ultimate deck that comes with, on a side release to that set, is meant to complete the whole android archetype. And I believe that these 3 cards will play a very, very big part in that. I feel like, again, like you guys have touched on as well, all these cards have green incorporated, and androids have always been green ever since set 2, I think, if I'm not wrong. Union Force?
Since Union Force.
Yeah, so all the androids back then were green. I've been screaming for an Android 17/18 reboot. I'm honestly hoping that we get that in some way, shape, or form, or even like a new android leader or a new cell leader, even that is amazing, that kind of works with these androids again, because it's been such a long time. I know we got the yellow 17 and 18. It honestly didn't do enough justice. It kind of just fell dead in the water. Pretty upsetting. But to have 3 of these cards take spots in the Mythic Booster, I feel like there's definitely some sort of hint that they're going to come back in some way, shape, or form. And honestly, I'm excited for that set that comes through at that time. When I heard about the androids and Cell and stuff like that, I honestly can't wait to see what they provide. It's been such a long time since we got proper Android support. Hope they don't botch it. It could even be Android 21 for all we know. We haven't seen her since the good old days as well. Obviously, 17 and 18 has been out for quite a while longer, but having a set revolve around like androids and Cell and stuff like that, I'm definitely keen, and I guess I'm glad to say that having playsets of these could very well help us out in the long run.
And if you look at those premium deck products and a few of those dedicated decks that come out, they all tend to have something that ignores color for a particular archetype. So potentially it could tie into that.
Also, I guess not super relevant, but we've got the movie coming out as well, Superhero, which does bring back Red Ribbon, and it's going to have something to do with androids. You have to assume, whenever we talk about Red Ribbon, it has to be androids. So whether they get worked into this set as well, it might be too early depending on the release. But
I would love to see another movie tie-in.
I think the movie comes out in April, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 22nd of April?
22nd of the 4th.
So
there you go. So we could potentially see. They could just be kind of warming us up to that Red Ribbon Army, the androids coming back.
I'd personally love it too. I mean, again, we know that Bandai kind of make these cards in advance. We're talking about months and months in advance. So the movie obviously, is currently being produced or, editing and things like that. We've only got 4 months till the movie releases, but they would have had to known what they're putting in that set coming May or June. So definitely keen to see if these cards do get incorporated into that, and if that is the main reason why these cards got reprinted itself. Another, I guess, big archetype, or I guess cards that kind of revolve and work around each other. Surge obviously got another reprint. I think we did see the Surge of Brutality, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me. It was in the collector's folder, volume 1.
Correct.
Yep. We've got another version of this come now, and pretty much 6 cards that work perfectly in this Broly Surge leader. We've got the green red multicolor, which is so popular, I guess you could say, with like having multicolor options, and we've obviously got green and blue as well, being the other one that's so dominant and so represented. But all these cards work with each other, so to have 7 specific cards that tie in with each other kind of makes me think, are we going to see more support coming in from the later sets?
I'm a massive fan of Broly Surge. I've always got a Broly Surge deck ready to go, and I love my current deck. It doesn't include to me, I think it's only got one of the cards that have actually been reprinted in my version of it. But I think it's a very underrated leader that can do a lot, especially if you play around with it a little bit. So I'm really curious to see, someone comes out with something with some of these cards that come out, but it's actually an amazing leader and it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and going over some of the cards that you've got here, that red-green Grade 8 Vegeta, I believe, worked well with the previous Raditz deck, which we also saw the new Raditz kind of come out. And then we've got the 5-drop multicolor Gogeta as well as Acrobatic, which really slot well into any kind of burn strategy. So, yes, these cards are good for any kind of red-green strategy, which Broly Surge can obviously play around, but they also slot into other red leaders that we've kind of had in the past. Gohan Burn, Yamcha, anything like that.
Launch.
So, yeah, Launch was also running Burn for a while.
The Trunks promo, I believe he's a blocker Revenge off the top of my head.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. That can free play.
Could tie in really well with the new Champa Beerus stuff coming out.
Yep, I was just thinking the same thing. And this is, I think you do need to have a multicolor card in your battle area to play it for free. Yeah.
And with that field card as well, just bring it back to that. It needs to be by attack. So it wasn't necessarily the KOing, it was by KOing by battle card attack. So your battle card needs to attack and then KO.
Well, having Revenge on it as well, I think.
Yeah, but Revenge won't trigger it because you're not attacking the card.
Yeah, true.
Your card is the target.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, interesting to see, obviously. I guess just more that it works well together, but to have 7 of those slots, like people would look at it as like, oh, why are these cards kind of getting reprinted and stuff like that? Is it hinting at this multicolor surge like coming back, right? We've had people screaming about, make a Bardock's crew surge leader. We've had Surge still be represented at Worlds just recently passed with Cell. We're still seeing these Surge leaders be viable with some of the support that comes out, some of the new cards that come out. Multicolor is still around. So to have this bunch of cards being reprinted, I'm very curious to see how they continue to push on with these and if there is going to be future support and is there a reason why these 7 cards have been reprinted in the Mythic Booster.
I think when you have a look at it as well, the Broly and there was also the Kefla came out. A lot of people struggled to get those at the time with events because they were a promo card. So it could potentially be just to help try and get those promo cards out there also, and then just try and get some of those old expansion cards back out there. Again, we've got the Champion Pack Broly 4-drop there. We've got the promo Trunks, which there's a few out there, but potentially could come in handy with some decks.
Yeah, especially with access to cards in Australia. I'm not too sure what it would be like in America. Can be quite difficult for a lot of those older cards. We've got a number of different sites that are available. Gary, you have one yourself, but once those cards are gone, it's hard to kind of come by. You have to go to Facebook to kind of find these cards. And if someone wants to charge you $50 to $60, like if you can't get it anywhere else, what other option do you have?
That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's kind of, sometimes it is a seller's market, right? Where if you don't see it or you don't have it from those past events and they haven't reprinted in such a long time, you almost don't have that many options. Yeah, so obviously Mythic could be trying to help eliminate some of those issues, but also kind of maybe be hinting at, future support coming. Make sure you stock up on your play sets. The next one I wanted to kind of bring up, right? And this is going to be a very, very interesting one because I had this idea back when it was revealed. A lot of people were like, why is SS4 Vegeta SCR getting reprinted again? Do we really need it? Obviously Cell was a great reprint. We need to see Apex of Power again because it was so hard to come across. But there are hints, and we've obviously seen the new SR. This is from the new set that is yet to release. It is coming at the start of March. We've got a multicolor card that is still blue and green. So we are going to see multicolor support continue to come in the future. And I'm wondering if that may be the reason why SS4 Vegeta SCR got reprinted for the multicolor portion of a deck.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, Go ahead, Gary.
I was just going to say this. It's potentially there is something coming where this card will see a lot more play than it does currently. Being such a sort of cheap, for like a better word, SER. I was a bit surprised that they chose it, but I mean, I'm hoping there's something that does give it a fair bit of value moving forward.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what I was going to say. You know, this card saw a fair bit of play in Piccolo Surge. After that deck got errated, you know, it kind of dropped off from there. It wasn't massive for collectors. You know, it was pretty stock standard along the other SERs. I think it was the main one from set 8, but it wasn't anything out of control like what we've seen previously. So the playability wasn't really there. The collectability wasn't really there. It was definitely an odd choice. And, you know, Sal obviously was errated. So it made sense to kind of have a new version of the card with the new text. Yeah, it was an odd pick when I saw it as well.
I think Vegeta has a lot of collectability. There's a massive fan base for Vegeta out there that really want to collect Vegeta cards. But SS4 is not always the most popular of all of the forms out there. There are some people who shy away whenever they see the SS4 form. Personally, I love it. I actually think it's a great looking form.
Yeah, I like that they've brought back the kind of all red, you know, the one color across the whole card, similar to what we saw with like the SS4 Goku from set 3 or 4. I think it looks really nice.
The other one I want to kind of go over, I mean, Gary, we were speaking about this with Dragon Balls, right? You know, is there a bigger reason why the Dragon Balls were getting reprinted, right? We haven't seen Wish in such a long time. Obviously, Miki Kapura was the last leader to do so, but that used its own kind of Dragon Balls anyway. And then by the time we could obviously create this video, Goku Black Wish leader in the next set has been announced. So we kind of touched on this, obviously, on our other video. Goku Black Zamasu Shenron Wish could have its own Dragon Balls. It might not even use these Dragon Balls. Could this just be a generic hint at more Wish leaders coming back in future releases?
I actually really hope they do support Wish a little bit more. I think it's an interesting leader type, and I really love seeing different leaders. When I saw Flippy Gohan revealed, I was straight onto like, this is different. I want to play it. Whenever I see, like, I haven't had a chance yet, but the Frieza from a few sets ago where you flip your life face up, I see it. It's something different. I want to play it. I want to try something different. It's other than that normal. I take a life. I awaken at 4.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these alternate kind of leaders as well. Things that don't have awakens and flip and wish, surge, all of those kind of things. And like we've mentioned in our other video, if people haven't seen it as well, kind of one thing that I was pointing out was that these Dragon Balls are the kind of Earth's Dragon Balls, whereas Zamasu and Goku Black go after the Super Dragon Balls. We do see Super Shenron on the kind of back side of this leader. We've seen the front side with just Zamasu. The activate main on the Dragon Ball is if your leader card is Shenron card, draw 1 card. Do they just add the Shenron tag to the front with the Zamasu, or
good point,
this card just not playable until you've flipped, until you've got all 7 in, you know, you just don't ever get that draw 1.
Yeah, and you know, again, like, did they create the reprint for the Dragon Balls for future support, or are they just doing it because, you know, they look nice in a SR rarity, which, to be honest, it is one of the nicest cards that is in the actual Mythic Booster. It's going to be hard to tell until they obviously announce and they show off, you know, how the Goku Black Wish does actually play out. So I'm definitely curious to see, is this going to be current support? You know, should you be picking up your Dragon Balls now while they're cheap, or is it just going to be great support for the future? You know, is there going to be more Wish?
I think looking on both sides as a collector and player, Dragon Balls are important, obviously, archetype-wise. Moving forward, they've had recent prints, so they can bring back some Wish leaders like they are. But from a collector point, Dragon Balls graded in a slab, PSA 10, they just look amazing. Like, you want Dragon Balls in your collection if you're a Dragon Ball collector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
My
what
prediction
obviously-
is that we don't see this revolve around the Zamasu Goku Black.
Yeah.
We see a Super Dragon Ball, but Future Wish support will be using these cards.
And I guess that's what the Mythic Booster was out there for, right? It's for the players and for the collectors. You know, you kind of give the collectors this shiny new rarity of all the cards that they've got included in there, and then they've also given it to the players where it's like, oh, you couldn't get these cards. They were such a a pain. They were so expensive. Here you go. We've made it available to everyone as well. So a really nice product at the end of the day. I'm kind of hoping that they kind of hinted at what they want to do in the future with some of these cards, like the Dragon Balls, the Android cards and stuff like that. And especially my next slide and my final slide, my favorite slide. We've got the Glory Obsessed Prince of Destruction Vegeta reprint, right? Very strange card to be reprinted in this set, okay? But not as strange as Chain Attack Trunks. A staple from set 4. You know, you'd be able to kind of evolve onto the 1-drop on your second turn, play a 15k from your hand, kind of go bonkers on this. All of a sudden, you've got, possible 2-3 bodies on the board. Trunks can swing at battle cards that are in active mode, game breaking at the time, ahead of its time.
This is the first deck I ever played too.
Yeah, same.
This takes me back.
Chain Attack Trunks was the first ever turn 2 kill.
Yeah.
When you look back to the Goku GT back in set.
Oh yeah, Final Flash.
It was the first card that
yeah.
really broke the game. Now, very underwhelming card. But yeah, amazing. And looking at, again, you put Pan Leader up there. Could we see a reboot? I think the community is screaming out for one as much as they're screaming out for a Bardock Surge crew leader.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to be around the corner, and they'll have to have a look at it soon.
Yeah, and that's why I put it there, right? Chain Attack Trunks and Prince of Destruction Vegeta. I mean, sure, Prince of Destruction Vegeta was another promo card that you got when you entered regionals, and that's, I believe, or one or the other.
2018 that was.
Yeah. And, sure, it might not be that often that you can find those cards now, but they were very widely given out. Those events, hit over 100 players, over 200 players at the time. So these packs were, I think, for entry, and then you also got more stamped versions if you came, top 16 or top 32. So there was a lot of these cards out there, considering that the champ stamps 2021 or 2020s were very, very hard to find. A lot more were printed of these cards and a lot more were given out. It kind of makes me think, with the Prince of Destruction Vegeta and the Chain Attack Trunks, are we going to see that Pan reboot? I mean, the heart wants what the heart wants. Bandai, if you're watching this video, reboot Pan. For my sake and the community's sake, we all want to see it. I think it's one of the greatest leaders of its time. I mean, it still got played sets later. It was that good. I don't know how you're gonna reboot it. I'm sure you'll find a way. I'm sure there's a good way to kind of bring it back. But is it hinting that to the community, right? Like, this is what we're here to talk about. It's like, is there more to these reprints than just reprinting random cards? Like, in what mindset do you think to yourself, I'm gonna make Chain Attack Trunks an SR variant?
Well, it's one of those things, like, it hasn't seen play in so long. There's barely any Trunks GT cards out there in play at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be something that's coming up in the set mid next year? It's got to be coming up soon, where there could be some Trunks GT support coming out, and maybe this card can come out really easily again.
And yeah, honestly, I hope so. Again, we're just trying to like dissect, like, if there's like hidden gems in, like, their product reveals, or if there's a reason why they're reprinting these cards. Obviously not everything might be factual. I mean, we might be onto something here. We might be 100% correct on half the things that we've said here. But it's very interesting to see the design choice, and a lot of people, and we see it in the community almost every day. It's kind of like, why did they choose this card? Why did they reprint this card? Why is this card getting reprinted? Why didn't we get this card? So on and so forth. And is it just to fill slots, or is there a bigger purpose for these cards to be chosen? So, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see how far we can get with this and where it goes. Again, guys, I want to thank you for jumping in today and having this discussion. You know, short, sweet, get to the point. You know, kind of discuss a few different things. It's always good to hear different opinions. We seem to all be on the same page about like the Android side of things. You know, these are the kind of cards that, you know, you probably wouldn't think about on a normal basis, right? Not everyone talks about Chain Attack, Glory Obsessed. Does that hint at a pan reboot? But I mean, it kind of gets those questions asked, and it kind of gets people talking, right? It's the things that you don't think about as soon as you see it, but when you sit down and kind of discuss it with your mates, you kind of start to think, hold on a minute, you know, is there purpose behind this? Is there a reason? So definitely will be great to see down the track if we can look back at this video and be like, you know, we were right or we were so wrong. But I'm definitely intrigued.
I think the one that I don't think there's a slide for that I'm really intrigued to see if there's anything is the Black Broly leader. When you look in this Mythic Booster, there's the Black leader. We just had a promo card in the current tournament kit that supports that leader, and there's also the Green Chile in this Mythic Booster set as well.
And it's kind of, they reprinted the Chile and they printed the Vegeta as well. Those were both the what were they called? They weren't campaign rares.
They were campaign rares, yeah.
Was it campaign rares? I thought they had FR at the bottom. I couldn't remember what that stood for. But
or feature rare, rare maybe.
Thank you. Yeah. And it was interesting because the Chile got reprinted and so did the Vegeta, but the Goku missed out and so did the Limo. Was it Limo? No.
Yeah. There was the little alien from...
Yeah, they got missed.
Chemo?
It might be that one, yeah.
Might be, yeah. Because those two got missed out, I remember, and I saw the Vegeta and the Chile. So, interesting, again, like you mentioned, are they kind of making these for the support that's coming out? We actually saw the Vegeta feature rare being played at Worlds. It's still put in work, you know, to this day. So, having more access to those cards that are still being played, never a bad thing. So, yeah, definitely interested to see what comes from this. And if they make a Mythic Booster Volume 2.
I would honestly be keen for one, to be honest.
Same. I've gathered so much from these boxes and so many playsets now that I didn't have. A lot of great cards included in there. I would definitely be very, very keen to see them continue this. And, yeah, it would be great to see them bring out more of these products and yeah, bring them out to the community to get our hands on the cards that we need. But guys, that's again the short amount of slides that I just wanted to go on to kind of dissect this and see if there's any merit behind it. Again, Gary, thank you so much for joining us today for one of our discussions. You know,
thanks for having me.
I know it's very hard to kind of get you a level 2 judge. You know, probably bigger things on his plate, but always a pleasure hearing your thoughts and your discussions itself. But yeah, definitely keen to dive into more things in the future with you. And guys, if you enjoyed these types of videos, more about discussions and obviously bringing on guests, including Gary himself, make sure you leave a comment on the video itself. Click that thumbs up button so we know that you want to see more. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to get notified when a new video goes up. Thank you so much for tuning in today and hope to see you in the next one. See you later.
Yeah.